Well, in the meantime, going into this match in round 4, on your left, Todd Anderson, StarCityGames.com writer, had a lot of success recently. He's playing Blue-White Stoneforge, a deck that's pretty common in Legacy parts, certainly a huge part of the format since Mental Misstep showed up. On your right, David Winsaver playing Mono-White Death and Taxes. It's like a deck that taxes your lands with Wastelands and Rashadport, and has cards like Stoneforge Mystic, some White Weenie cards, as well as Mangara of Koronor with Karakas for a kind of Vindicate every turn combo.
Alright, so catching up here, Todd Anderson on his second turn now, he cracks a Scalding Tarn for an island, and he's also going to crack a Flooded Strand. And David on his first turn played a Wasteland and an Aether Vial. So, got a little glare, but it looks like, yeah, blue-white, and Todd is going to search for the third time this turn. Really, he should have just shortcutted it.
Now, he didn't shuffle too heavily in between any of them. He didn't, like, the worst is like when you're like, fetch land, shuffle, present,
shuffle.
Present, cut, shuffle, hand it back.
Yeah.
Alright,
just as if you have multiple search effects and it's clear here that David does not have a stifle open, just say, hey, can I get all this stuff at once?
Yeah.
Saves time.
Saves time, and you're not really giving anything away if you're just going to cast it anyway, you know. You get priority back so that your opponent can't do anything. David puts a counter on the Aether Vial.
Did we see what Todd got?
Sword of Feast and Famine.
Okay.
So no, I think he already had that in his hand. He's Batterskull. I think he got Batterskull, he already had Sword in his hand. Regardless, he has both.
They are playing pretty fast here. David plays the...
Flagstones of Trocair.
Oh. Wow. What is going on in this deck?
Flagstones is a tricky little land from Time Spiral. When it dies, you get another Plains out of your deck. It works well with, say, the Cataclysm hiding in David Winsaver's deck. Granted, only a 1-of, but...
Alright, David, Wastelands, Todd's, Mishra's Factory.
Vials and Mother of Runes.
Vials and a Mother of Runes, wow.
Yep, the mono-white, kind of Legacy's take on White Weenie. There's another Aether Vial.
But it cannot protect against artifacts, Mother of Runes, so that could be relevant.
Well, Batterskull is a black germ token.
Oh, that's true.
Todd missteps the second Aether Vial. And you can't target your opponent's creatures, I believe, so... Maybe you can? I'm not sure. Down comes Batterskull. And that's such the silly interaction. We saw that standard for so long, and only a matter of time until it went into Legacy. Draws.
So David's stuck here on mana, but Todd has not played his third land yet. Well, it got Wastelanded. Gets in there with Batterskull, and David blocks. Looks like he's going to correctly do the pro-black. Which you might miss if you don't use the actual token. You might forget about that, like I did. Aha, but Mishra's Factory is going to get in.
Effect. Draws a Karakas. Alright, and there's Aether Vial.
Another Aether Vial.
That's 3 Aether Vials for David Winsaver. And just like the Merfolk deck we saw last round, this deck really banks on its Aether Vials. You use your lands for other things, and you're just curving up with your Aether Vials, giving you a free mana boost.
Right. I mean, he's got 4 Wastelands and 4 Rashadan Ports in this deck, David does. So he's planning on using his own lands for mana denial, while his Aether Vials power out his creatures. Todd, end of turn, drops the Sword of Feast of Famine with the Stoneforge ability. And now he's gonna take a look at his options here.
Black and green are colors David Winsaver does not have, so no protection there.
But he activates and equips his Mishra's Factory, so again, the Mother of Runes is not going to have protection from the Mishra's Factory here.
Yep, so it looks like that Feast and Famine will likely connect unless he's willing to throw away.
He does have the Aether Vial. We might, if he's got something else in his hand. David reading the Mishra's Factory, probably checking to see if it has a color.
And no color on the Mishra's Factory.
Could have a Jotun Grunt here. Does the Vial on 2?
Let's see, he could also put in Sarah Avenger. A little late for Phyrexian Revoker, so yeah. Goes for...
Oh, it's on 3?
Oh, Flicker Wisp. All right, going to flicker out the Mistress Factory. Or the sword, I guess. Okay. I think would you normally flicker out the factory there so that someone don't take any damage?
Could say non-land, couldn't it?
I'm pretty sure you can hit lands with Flicker Wisp. I'll double check, but I'm almost positive you can.
That's curious.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, I'm not sure why.
One reason would be you don't want it to come back untapped, but an untapped colorless land doesn't really do that much.
Yeah, I would have thought he would want to at least block with the Flicker Wisp then and trade with the factory.
Yeah, that's what I would have expected too. But it's not what happened.
Instead, he's going to get in there for 3.
So that'll drop Todd Anderson to only 13. Well, not only, but 13 life. David's got 2 or 3 cards over there.
This is really scary. I hate it when my opponent has Aether Vial and you just don't know what's going to come out.
Right, you attack and you're like, I don't know what's going to happen here.
Because I doubt that Todd has, seen this exact deck. He might have seen similar decks, but you never know what could come out from your opponents at these opens.
Right, and this deck has some unique pieces. Cataclysm's a card, for example, we haven't seen in this kind of version.
Here we go. Todd plays a second factory and he does the same. He animates the original one and equips with Sword and Feast and Famine.
And then attacks.
Attacks with the Batter Skull, Stoneforge, and Factory. Vial, another Flicker Wisp.
Alright, I think he's going to do the same thing again and just put the sword out.
So, yeah, I don't know. I guess he doesn't want to... Oh, there he goes.
And this time,
he's going to trade. So... The first time, I guess he just wanted to have a clock, because 3 damage in the air is pretty significant here. Trying to figure out what happens.
Some kind of miscommunication. Right, so
he activated the Mother of Runes, so...
Protection from black.
Mom protected herself?
Right. I mean, I think this is exactly... I don't know what the confusing part is here.
Well, that maybe they're trying. Maybe he was unclear about what he was protecting, and so. Well, I think it's time to call a judge.
Yeah, this is how I feel most of the time. Unfortunately, there's a table judge there they're talking with. It was extremely clear to me.
Could be life totals as well.
Could be also.
Trying to figure out life totals.
But from how they're gesturing, I think it's. I think it's what's going on the table. Yeah, it seemed super clear to me when I was watching, but maybe there was something verbal we didn't catch, some kind of indication.
Yeah, and it's always important to be clear with your opponents. The tricks you want to play are, you don't want to so much trick them with the words you're saying, but more with your actions.
So it looks like Judge backing them up. So backs them up to the block. So they can be clear what happens. Activate Mother of Runes, choose black. Factory trades with Flicker Wisp. As a judge, what do you think is potentially going on here?
It could have been an out-of-order sequencing where maybe he tapped his Mother of Runes first. Or said, block, activate Mother of Runes, block with the Flicker Wisp, which is allowed via out-of-order sequencing if the block of actions you're doing is clear and legal, which it is. So we're not going to hold players just because he said block, activate, block. Doesn't mean he's gone out of blocking.
Right. He hasn't gotten any extra information for doing that, so there's no advantage to be gained. So they're appealing to the head judge right now. We're going to head back to us for a second. Hey, everybody. Back in the booth. Gavin here with Ricky. And going to get that ruling resolved. Head judge walking over. One of the cool things about these events is we have judges from all over. For example, yesterday we had a judge from Spain, is that correct?
Yes, Nico Glick is a level 3 judge from Spain. He came in to judge Pro Tour Philadelphia last week and saw this event on the schedule and decided to stay an extra week.
That's awesome. And I remember I've been at some we had a judge from Denmark earlier in the year.
Yeah. We've had 2 head judges from France. We had a head judge of a Legacy Open, also from Spain. 1 head judge from Germany, Uta Cronenberg from Germany. Later in the year, Las Vegas, Are you going to Las Vegas?
I am. Me and Patrick
Okay.
Chapin will be doing commentary.
Well, you will get to see Fabian Peck, level 3 from Australia, in action at that event.
Very cool.
So anytime there's a Pro Tour event and some judges come in from other countries, we ask them, hey, would you like to come in and stay a week or come in a week early and head judge one of these opens?
Yeah, and it's great. It works out great because they get extra experience, and it really makes these opens feel different from some run-of-the-mill tournament, because you have these very experienced judges from around the world coming in, and like today we have a judge from it's not just all foreign judges too. We have a judge from Charlotte today who's getting some experience.
Yeah, Chris Henry, level 2 from Charlotte. He's been a really strong judge on the Star City circuit because we hit this area a lot. Richmond, Charlotte, Atlanta. It's close to Roanoke, Virginia, so we're here a lot. Chris is at a lot of our events, and he's been great for us.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it helps add to the atmosphere. Different great judges all the time, and
I mean, we got one judge here, Federico Donner. He's a level 2 from Uruguay, and he has actually been in the States since Grand Prix Pittsburgh.
Wow.
Went to Philly. He's here, and he's going to GP Montreal next week.
So just
vacation.
Let's go judge for a month. Awesome.
And you can do that.
Yeah, it's part of what the Magic Judge program offers. So what happened is he took back the flying blocker after tapping Mother. So he went to block with the Flicker Wisp and the Mother, tapped the Mother, and then tried to be like, no, I don't want to block the Flicker Wisp anymore. Okay. It looks like there's some miscommunication. Situation was resolved by the Flicker Wisp still blocked. And so it looks like the Factory and the Flicker Wisp didn't end up trading. And he's going to serve.
No, they did, because he had 2 Flicker Wisps.
Yeah, they did it.
Yeah, okay. Oh, sorry.
So
I misunderstood.
Mistress Factory in the graveyard, Flicker Wisp in the graveyard. Yeah. Still one Factory and Flicker Wisp on either side.
And now, that Flicker Wisp, the original one, the reason he didn't block the first time is he's pecking away 3 damage at a time, saying, all right, I'll race you.
Yeah, I think it was the correct play, too, for David to probably not block with that other Flicker Wisp.
Yeah,
so
because he can control the Batterskull's lifelink with the Mother of Runes. He can keep that in check.
Right. Yeah, Mother of Runes is a really interesting card in that...
Very surprising to see it, but...
It's a 1-drop that negates so much for, the cost of 1 mana. Always a popular card back in the day, and here we see it in Legacy.
Certainly right here, it's prevented Todd from gaining... 8 life now?
Maybe more, yeah. Certainly changed how the game is going to play out, too, because otherwise Todd could just lean on his Batterskull's lifelink the whole time.
Yeah.
I think eventually what Todd probably wants to do is be able to activate Mistress Factory and give the Batterskull to the Mistress Factory so he can't protect from it anymore. Alright, so he activates Factory and gives it the sword.
Here he goes again.
Tries the same trick.
Trying to connect with that sword.
Oh, he taps
and here's the Flicker. Is it another Flicker Wisp?
Mangara Coronor. Okay.
Oh wow. He's got the Caracas as well.
He does have the Caracas.
So
What is the other Violon?
Let's see, so... Well, the Flicker Wisp costs 3, right?
Flicker Wisp costs 3.
So he has to have 1 on 3, and Mangara costs 2?
3.
Oh, both 3.
So can you revile it out? No, you cannot revile it out. But still, it's a very good combo. That's actually the trademark kind of combo of the deck. The way it works is Mangara says tap, exile Mangara, and another target permanent. The trick is, if Mangara is not in play when the ability resolves, it still happens. There's only one target. The target is still legal.
It doesn't target itself.
So if you play Mangara, activate her, then use Caracas to return her to your hand, the ability will still happen. You can just keep doing this over and over every turn. Just whittle your opponent away.
And this is another one of those combos that I think was probably discovered in EDH and ported into Legacy. This has been a very popular general for a while. Mono White in general, is not that popular, but this is certainly one of the leading commanders that people like to play, Mangara.
Because getting exiled isn't quite as bad, and you can just replay it for, a couple more mana.
Yeah.
Alright, so Wasteland takes care of the Caracas.
Okay, so yeah, he wasn't going to be able to assemble that combo anyway. Todd had the Wasteland, but he still has to deal with this problem here. He's only at 7.
Serves with Batterskull, but no doubt Mother Rune's going to block him protection from black. David probably has to wonder why he didn't serve with the Mistress Factory this turn.
Does Todd have... What does he
Swords
have
of
here?
Plowshares.
So he could have drawn a Swords. He could have drawn maybe a Jace. Stifle, yeah, that's a great point. He's just looking for some way to get rid of that Mother of Runes. And
there's the Jace.
There's the Jace.
That's what makes most sense. Otherwise, he'd just be playing around Mana Tithe, which is kind of unreasonable. So he could Jace back the Mother of Runes, and then
and then slow it down. Now he's gonna get to, unless that vial is on 1.
I did both
So
vials.
3.
All right, one at a time.
So one of them's on 2.
Stoneforge Mystic.
2 and a 3.
I think though if he puts Mangara in, and he right now could be an opportunity to exile that Batterskull, and then he can't get any life.
Yeah, I mean he has to. Now that the Mother of Runes was bounced, Todd most likely is going to get a free hit in here to gain some life.
Unless he plays Mangara off that Aether Vial and kills the Batterskull. Exactly. And then David is just, 3 turns away from his white Vendelion Click, taking a tough life total.
Nice.
Flicker Wisp, the white Vendelion Click.
Wow, and David's deck is really interesting. He also has Phyrexian Revoker here in a mono-white deck just to copy any of his utility creatures.
No, it's the Revoker. So it's the Pithy Needle.
Oh, okay. I apologize. Yeah, I was thinking.
So he's going to up his Aether Vial to 4, it looks like. So he's got 1 on 4 and 1 on 2.
4
Well, he's got nothing at 4, so maybe he upped the 1 on 2
I think
to
it's
3.
2 threes, yeah.
So he's got 2 3s, okay. Played a Richard on Port.
Seems a little too late for that, although it can tap the factory.
Which is certainly a big deal.
When he fetched the Sword of Fire and Ice with the Stoneforge.
People on Twitter are telling us that Crocus is banned in EDH, so...
That's true. It was... See, I'm an old school player, so before it was banned, I think it was... You couldn't target your gen... I don't know. There was a point where it was not banned.
Were you in Sheldon's original circle?
No. that was in Alaska. Okay, so let's catch up here. He is...
So David is activating his Mangara, and I think he's targeting Batterskull. Or he's putting Sword of Fire and Ice into play. Why isn't Mangara tapped?
What just happened there?
We go for a second and talk about Caracas. This is what we get, I suppose. It's possible Todd might have stifled the Mangara.
Okay. What? There was the top of his graveyard
was
flooded strand.
But maybe he stifled and cracked it. And
yeah.
I don't know. Regardless, David takes the first game.
Yeah, he snuck in the sword with the Stoneforge, put it on his Flicker Wisp, and then that would be 3, 4, 5, 7 total with the ability.
Yep. And that was that. David Winsaver takes the first game with his Death and Taxes deck. These guys are about to go to their sideboards now. Let's first look at Mr. Winsaver. What do we think we're doing after sideboarding here?
Well, let me tell you what he's got. 4 Enlightened Tutor, 3 Leonin Arbiter, 1 Runed Halo, 1 Relic of Progenitus, 1 Cataclysm, as you've been saying. He's got 1 main, 1 sideboard. 1 Serenity, 1 Phyrexian Metamorph, the card I misread Revoker as. 1 Ethersworn Canonist, 1 Circle of Protection Red, and 1 Wheel of Sun and Moon. So he's got an Enlightened Tutor utility package here.
But I'm not sure he really wants that in this matchup. I don't think any of those cards are really that exciting against Todd. Serenity is maybe okay, but not really. I mean, they can just return their equipment. Metamorph could be okay, but probably not worth the whole package. Yeah. Arbiter could be all right.
That's the search stopping guy.
Right, so
you
good
have to
against
pay 2 to search.
Good against Mystic, good against Flooded Strands.
But it's all players, and he's got Mystics as well.
Mystics, and he's got a couple other cards too. Flagstones of Trocare, if that ever comes up, for example.
But he doesn't have fetch lands, which Todd does have.
Right.
And if you can slow down someone who has fetch lands and make them pay 2 for those.
Generally what I find with Leonin Arbiter is like the first fetch land is kind of a struggle because like you have to pay 2, use your fetch land,
Yeah, you
etc.
need 3 lands in play.
But once you get over like that initial hump, normally you're okay. But you got to get over that hump first of 1 or 2 fetch lands.
So what's going on with Todd, Gavin?
All right, Todd's got a Wrath of God, which will all assuredly could be coming in. Lawan Sibylline Empress, not so much, unless there's a Mind Bend somewhere. Spell Pierce, I don't think Spell Pierce will be the card here. Although Todd is on the play, he could potentially Spell Pierce an Aether Vial, but that's so situational with only 2 Spell Pierces.
Yeah, after
he'll do it.
if you miss the vial, you got almost a dead card at that point.
Leyline of the Void not coming in. Crucible World's probably not coming in. Pyroblast and Reb not coming in. For 2 Phyrexian Metamorphs, I doubt will come in. They could potentially copy a Flicker Wisp or
A Mother of Runes.
Mother of Runes, Avenger and do something. Probably not.
You could Legend Roll a Mangara.
I think we'll probably just see the Wrath come in. I guess you could always Phyrexian Metamorph their Aether Vial, see what happens. But no,
But all he has is Stoneforges and Bendillion Clicks, so let's not do that.
so I think Wrath will come in, and then looking at what to cut, Daze and Stifle might be some of the weak links. Daze you might want, Stifle might be a little weak.
I think Todd might want to bring in the Metamorphs because he saw that David also has Stoneforge.
Yeah.
And if you get into an equipment more, you want to have some more equipment.
Right, it's like in Standard you play Phantasmal Image to copy opponent's Squadron Hawk so you can play the Squadron Hawk game. And here you can play the Metamorph to copy their Stoneforge Mystic to play the equipment game too. So that's a potential route he could take. He already has 1 Wrath main deck, which is worth noting, going up to 2 after sideboarding. Nothing else I can really see taking out. I think he wants all of his Jaces, Stoneforge Vendilion Click, Brainstorm Swords, his equipments. Sword of Feast and Famine is not the most impressive here, but
No, but it's only a 1-of.
Right. And I mean, you're going to get utility if you draw your second Mystic. Well, the game is underway. Turn 1 Volcanic Island from...
Whoa!
Turn 1 Volcanic Island, half Taxian Probe. Go.
Yeah, I think
like,
we
flipped
might have
his
seen
hand.
a Force of Will there.
All right.
And we can see it in his hand. I think David probably would have seen that Force.
So Todd fling this land up on the table. Flung, I suppose. But David goes for Wasteland on Volcanic Island. Todd brainstorms in response, and then Wasteland resolves.
And he's got a second Volcanic Island. And the same thing, another Wasteland. So turn 3, no permanents. Todd has a Wasteland of his own.
Versus Flagstones of
don't
Showcare.
wanna-
Another interesting.
And David casts some other runes, which gets mental misstepped.
Mother Runes is a 1-drop. Has to deal with the misstep problem. A very hot topic of discussion this weekend among Legacy players, if it should be
A
banned
lot
or
of people
not.
have been saying that, and they printed it to do this. And I don't think this is really bad, is it? I mean, it's opening up the format.
Jotun Grunt for David Winsaver.
Oh, Gavin with the proper pronunciation.
I would never call that a Jotun Grunt. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, who would do that? Me earlier.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't
Okay, so
notice.
Todd forced the grunt, Force of Will, and now David's got a Rashadan Port as well.
So Port and 2 lands for David Winsaver versus Todd's Wasteland and
F3
Floodstone.
for Mangara.
There's a Mangara, and this is where the taxes part of the deck comes into play. They traded a bunch of Wastelands. David has a Port now. If that Mangara gets to do its thing, it could potentially get rid of a couple of Todd's lands. So Todd might be a little land light here if he doesn't have any action.
Todd Anderson fetches up a Tundra and Swords to Plowshares on Mangara.
And that's going to happen. David will gain a life, however.
It's notable that Todd is at 16 here. Mental misstep and some fetch lands.
These Legacy decks are very good at dealing damage to themselves.
Yeah.
That's sometimes why the mono red burn deck can just be viable. Opponent starts at 15 anyway. Wasteland, there's Strong Port.
Is it time for Draco Explosion to come back? Like right here, bam, you're dead.
Definitely see that sometimes. Mono red though was hurt by mental misstep pretty bad. So. 2 looks like Sarah Avenger. It is not the first, second, or third turns of the game.
That gets Force of Will as well. So Todd goes to 15.
Still looking for more lands though.
Look at that. Todd has had to pitch a Force and a Jace. And he's stuck on 2 lands,
Another Sarah Avenger.
and it resolves.
All right, now
That's
Todd
a
has
clock.
nothing. And yeah, time for that Avenger to start clocking Todd. It has Vigilance, but yeah. So Todd goes down to 12 life from the Avenger.
That seems like a great card here. If you're just trading Wastelands, having a 2-drop that is that, 3/3 evasion.
You can also do some tricky things with Aether Vial. You can put it into play on turn 3 before you're supposed to be able to.
Sure.
Which is kind of cool.
Okay, so David plays a second Flagstones and he fetches out 2 planes, thinning his deck here. And he's got an Aether Vial now.
There's a Vial. That'll help him work under his mana constraints even better.
Well, Todd's the one that has some constraints here. He did not play a 3rd land.
Very true.
And
Flicker
Flicker
Wisp.
Wisp.
All right, so Todd down to 9 life. Anamangara Flicker Wisp joins the fray for David.
6 power in the air. This is not looking good.
2-turn clock. Todd finds land but has no play. Todd is going to respond to Aether Vial's trigger by cracking 2 fetch lands. And Vendilion Click, probably.
Click, yeah.
The blue Vendilion Click, as it were, as opposed to the white Vendilion Click.
Blue Vendilion Click is probably a little better.
A little redundant, too, but...
I'm waiting for the red Vendilion Click. 3/1 flyer for 3 that shocks you when it enters the battlefield.
You look at their hand, you pick a card, they take damage, you lose mana cost.
Oh, that would be good.
Swords to Plowshares on the click in response to its trigger.
Todd saying, looks like he said target myself with the ability.
That's weird. I feel like David put that swords down, then Todd changed his mind about what he was going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's David's fault that he showed the sword so fast, but that does seem a little sketchy. Because why else would you do it in response to your Aether Vial? Todd didn't do anything wrong necessarily. He just changed his mind after David showed him information.
David should have said, "Who are you targeting?"
Right.
And then swords.
It's like the thing that happened with Yuza, where he went Vendilion Click. His opponent showed him his hand, and he was like, "Target myself."
That was much more complicated than we can discuss right now.
Yes. There are larger problems with that.
It might be over soon because 6 more damage in the air here.
And that's
and
that.
Todd scoops.
Todd's hand was 2 Mystics, a Batterskull, and a Jace. And David Winsaver, who was initially very nervous about getting a feature match, ended up shaking his nerves and taking the match 2-0. Now he's got permanent history of his victory.